Yeah, so I'm understanding it, and great job with everything. Very inspirational, and I did enjoy reading all of your notes that were provided to us. So, can you talk about the? I read about clothing and some kind of branded clothing, and I was wondering, did that just apply to one project, or is that something that you're going to do and support all of your programs with? And how does that work? Working with what you're doing?
So were you talking about the clothing march that we had just done, or branding ourselves on the apparel side of our business?
Well, either or. Yeah, I saw the clothing notes, and I didn't know if you were going to continue doing something with that, kind of branding your efforts in your group.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll have Adrian talk about the clothing march in a second, but in terms of branding in the apparel side of our business, so basically what we want to be able to do is create a product that allows someone to show that they have completed and believe in what we are doing. So by that I mean we can make a shirt surrounding the social issue at the time that we are affecting. And basically what will happen is while buying that shirt, you will also be donating to whichever fund at the time we are working with. And the way we're going to do that is we plan to do sort of seasons. So this will be concept project season 1 business cycle. And within that season, we'll have multiple interviews, construct a final documentary that shows and displays the entire event, the ins and outs of it, and then create an apparel and make a brand out of that season. And then once the season's up, then we create a new shirt for that next season, if that makes sense.
Okay, it does. Thank you.
And then Adrian, if you want to talk about Clothing March.
Absolutely. So this was a really fun event that happened this month. So during the month of March, I came up with a small idea that ended up being a lot larger than we anticipated. What I did was I originally concepted the idea to have 31 donated outfits, head to toe, shoes, socks, underwear, in 31 days. And we ended up with over 300 outfits donated to our cause. And
just in Halifax.
The outfits in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where I am currently living. And I jump into the ocean with them to show the struggles of the temperatures outside in terms of the homeless population doubling during the pandemic, and the wind and cold temperatures still being a high struggle for people.
Another big part of that is that we got over 20 other people to also join in 20 locations, but in total, probably around 100 people jumped that day. So it just shows how easily these causes catch on and how much people want to be a part of them.
Including 4 countries and 15 states, which I also think is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Natalie. Sorry, hand first.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think it sounds like you all are extremely motivated, and it sounds like you've got some great ideas going here. I'm kind of curious about how, I really like that you're addressing some of the issues that have come forward with the pandemic. But how are you going to choose who to focus on and how to raise funds for them and that sort of thing? Like, I think it sounds like you have some creative forms of helping with that. So
yeah, so what we're able to do is we also do a ton of mini projects, something that can be completed in a day, which we have done over the past couple of months. But in terms of what we do, we kind of like to do our big ones and have a few months to plan before them. And a big one, we wouldn't really know. Like our next one would be, Adrian, if you want to explain that in a second, the garbage swim. But basically what we do is we look at a community and we look at a social issue that affects that community or that area. And we basically kind of look at the geography that surrounds that area and how can we make it an outdoor event that promotes mental and physical change that help better yourself and help that nonprofit for that social issue, if that makes sense. And so we like to have that creative ability, like you were saying, to kind of just go and do what we want. So the way we kind of make sure that we're always staying constant and always working is doing those small ones every couple of weeks, the day ones, and then finalizing with that big project every few months.
Yeah, we like to look at the news and what's relevant in the area and at the time, to pick these social issues. We are really a form of community assessment, and you look at community development as an opportunity to garner relationships with the people in your community, strengthen ties with professionals that know more about this cause. And recently, our biggest asset-based community assessment was Clothing March. What are the assets in the community that are taking or are recipients for clothing? How are they using it? Are they selling it back to the general public for profit to stay in the nonprofit space? And we rank that in terms of the need for those clothes and the purpose for those clothes. So it definitely is project by project, but that question made me think a lot. So thank you.
Nice job.
Yes, Susan.
So I have a question about how you take money in and give it out. Does it go directly from the donor to the organization? Are you a middleman on that? Because, and just kind of, are you set up as a 501c3 to take in donations? How are you going to keep these projects afloat? I know I saw your budget. And first off, I will tell you, I love the idea, and I think the use of social media. I just checked out your website. I think it looks great. So I'm just kind of curious on how the funding works, if it goes directly through you or if people donate directly to the organization.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, I'll start with saying that we will be filing as an LLC 501c3 hybrid. The hope is to become a digital multimedia company that allows us to be sponsored. That way someone can put their shirt on us because we're always newsworthy, we're always in the news, and we're always on social media. The last project that we did was we used GoFundMe, but we were trying to find a new instrument, like I was saying before, to make so that we don't have to deal with the cut that GoFundMe takes from each donation.
So to answer the question, it's been different each cause. So for the Wagon Walk, we raised about 10,000 Canadian dollars, and that went directly via e-transfer. It's a banking system in Canada that allows you to send money via email through your banks. And that's how we raised $10,000. And that went directly to the Nova Scotia Remembers Legacy Society. For the second one, as he mentioned, we raised another $10,000 USD this time. And that was through GoFundMe, which then takes a cut. The overall goal would be to create our own fund and keep all of our money in our own nonprofit space.
Do we have any other ones?
Paddy, do you have any questions at the moment, or are there any second questions? George, any follow-up, or Natalie or Susan?
I just want to commend you for the efforts that you've done, the projects that you've worked on. I'm very impressed. And I don't know if you have in mind doing anything that's going to be more long-term, or do you just foresee continuing to do these ad hoc kinds of things, because that way you can get the momentum going on a number of different fronts? And also I wanted to ask you, what is the cut that GoFundMe takes?
It's dependent on how much it is. Emmy?
I'm pretty sure it's 10%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we ended up with about 9,100 for the highs and lows walk when we raised about, I think 9,750. So it's around like 9-10%.
Okay.
That's a good question in terms of ad hoc. We are this like pop-up fundraising formula that we've kind of perfected. And yes, there's always opportunities for annual events and expanding of events that we've already done, essentially franchising them in a way to fit underneath the platform that we end up building. And so we're very unique in the way we do things. So it's an interesting question. Do we keep bouncing around or do we expand? And there's so many opportunities because it boils down to the strict concept behind what we perform.
And one of our big hopes is that eventually one day, people will start doing their own concept projects on a bigger scale. We already have a few people trying to do their own. So we become a platform and the opportunities are endless there. How much change we could drive if it just keeps growing. If we keep doing more and more concepts, then the concepts keep catching on. And at the end of the day, it becomes something way bigger than we could have ever imagined.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I believe we are exactly on time, just a minute over, which is fantastic. So concept project, I truly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the website. I spent
Absolutely.
most
Thank
of that
you.
on your Instagram.
Thank you for having us.
I think you've done incredible work. So I'm super proud of you for being a
Wonderful.
UMass Law student and the team. So thank you
you.
for the presentation. I'm sure the judges really enjoyed it. And if I could ask you politely to leave the Zoom, just so they can
Absolutely.
do their score sheets, that'd be fantastic.